Artcenter is wonderful at making you reach beyond what you think you're capable of. From the very beginning, sport was a big part of my life. I grew up more of an adrenaline junkie than anything, riding bikes and bike racing and skateboarding, and I raced motocross. I think that that's where some of my true design insights really started, was really understanding equipment and the meaning that equipment had in sport, and that if it was done differently or you changed it, that you could influence performance as well. This shoe right here, Johan Blake ran his fastest time ever, won a world championship, got a silver medal in the Olympics. For him to come back and say that I've never run faster, it's all because of how incredibly fast this shoe is. That's a great example.
I really came to Artcenter, I often say fresh off the boat from Europe. I only started to feel at home. I only started to feel like I was in a place that understood me when I entered the design world. One of the challenges was to find my own voice. And I think when you come to design with a personal mindset, with a personal view, that people listen to you actually even more. The one thing that bothers me always is when people say, oh wow, he's really talented. This person is really talented. I really don't know what that means. I don't think I had any natural talent for design when I started, but I did get better along the way. I did get better by continually exercising, that skill, for example. And so talent, it's just, your intent to do the work.
Through the design of nature, we can actually understand much more, where things are going, what we are made out of. It is truly like looking at this internal force that we have that is able to propel us, and especially in the idea of the edges of our conceptual powers. When you see the work, you will be seeing nature, looking perhaps much more at a system. Then the sound puts it in a place where you feel perhaps your own vibration, you feel your own sense of core. That nature can actually challenge your safety. I think creativity happens when you truly test the boundaries of things, and when you push them to a point where you really don't know, when you're not sure, and imagination starts flowing. The edges of where we feel comfortable is where I want to be. When we feel too comfortable, we stop seeing.
Film school, I started doing storyboards for people's movies, and then my senior year I became an animator. 2 or 3 weeks after I got my first job, I was like, this is it? Like, this is all there is, really? I was doing a lot of figure drawing, a ton of figure drawing. I was figure drawing maybe 4 times a week. And somewhere in there I started not using a pencil anymore. I started using a brush, I started painting, I started using watercolor, I started using things that were less controllable, and next thing I know I was going abstract, and I didn't really think about it, but it was looking strange. It was still looking like people, but it was way more interesting, way more expressive, and way more out there. And then once I figured out that I could collage a person, and I did a whole body work to get into Artcenter. It was all collage-based figures in sets and things. After that, I was like, well, why don't I collage paint? And that's how I kind of got to this. This is collaged abstraction just in motion. I think of my work in terms of orchestrating moves and orchestrating marks as opposed to making a painting. A painter has a palette of colors. I have a palette of colors that are moving. And I'm also trying to push what those things can do. I have to strip out all the narrative, then I get to the actual characteristics of what the thing is actually doing, and then what it's doing is what it's actually about.
When I was a kid, I would play with Barbies, and I could never find the things that I wanted in the house or in the vehicle, so I would make them myself. The automotive industry is a very difficult place to be as a woman. When I entered, there weren't very many females roles. They were all in color and materials. But as I've been working and we've been able to sort of establish ourselves in the industry, I've watched a lot of young ladies go into these fields, graduate, and come into the studio. There's a growing pool of very strong, well-educated, amazing female designers in automotive design, exterior and interior, plus color. Color and material is usually on the forefront of trends because we have face-to-face interaction with our suppliers, and we are the ones usually to go to the shows and to recap what is happening in the next 2 years, 10 years, 5 years. We usually bring that back to the design team and share that so we can all work towards hitting the mark when we need to on whatever product is being released.
The thing that kept me up at night was because I wasn't designing, you know? I was doing paintings off of someone else's designs and using them obviously for a different purpose, but I was like, man, it would be so cool to be the person to create these things, you know, actually think of them and create them with, you know, your own mind and hands. And that's what really drove me to start creating a portfolio specifically just for concept design. So I'd be working in the day, go home at night and try to fulfill that. I like to go as far as possible. You know, the more history that I can discover, the more kind of quirks that give a person actual character. We also did some stuff for a car racing game. So we'd go visit garages and, you know, go hang out with car guys and just see what their whole community is about. Because if it doesn't apply to them, then who will it apply to? You know, we just kind of miss the mark, you know. Initially, when I was a student, the film industry was huge. It was big, big, big. And slowly, the game industry was, wow, it's making the same amount of revenue as the film industry, but now it's actually 8-fold. The game industry makes 8 times more money than the film industry, which is insane.
The first moment in which, you know, the idea of the monster was born was while I going to school, because we were riding, you know, the Angeles Crest Highway here, and, you know, maybe you fall down and get a piece of plastic, you know, scrap, and then you will go to the dealer. Can I get that piece? Oh, it's $500. We didn't have much money, so you remove the pieces, and then at the end, you will have a motorcycle that was no bodywork, and it will be riding the same way. So when this thing, you know, stay in my mind, I say, but that's, I mean, you don't actually need much, you know, handlebar, gas tank, and a seat. The simplicity of one thing, of any object we have, it doesn't have a time. It lasts forever.
We came up with this campaign called Pinkies Down. And started with like, welcome to Oregon, we love our wine here, we just don't drink it with our pinkies in the air. So we made little rubber bands that tie your pinky down so you can't drink with your pinky in the air, and handed them out to everybody at this thing. But it all comes off of those 2 points, like defining Oregon and being less pretentious about it. It took on a bigger life than we've imagined.
Canned wine! Can you believe it? The Union Wine Company in Oregon released Underwood's wine in a can. Mine's a Pinot.
Pinot Gris. And Hoda has the Pinot Noir.
I want to just be able to tell stories in different kinds of medium.
Let's do it like they do. Okay. No, this is the beerification of wine.
The beerification.
You know what? You'd think out of a can it wouldn't be that tasty.
But it's nice and chilled, that's what I like.